Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So today, what I'm going to do, I'll be doing something very different. I'll be talking about the certification. I won't be teaching you guys about certification, but a general concept around certification, right? As you know that, right? I teach people certification. That's exactly what I do, and I'm very passionate about the Salesforce. And I wish that everyone get into Salesforce, get to know the Salesforce and get certified, right? Um, and this video will be extremely important if you're someone new to Salesforce. So stay tuned, right? Because I wanted to give my something which I've noticed based on my personal observation and the certification madness that's going around in the Salesforce space, right? So you would have noticed, right? If you're starting out, if you're new to Salesforce, right? You would have seen someone say, "Oh, I got 20 plus Salesforce certification," and you must be thinking, that's really not great. So, that means I would never able to get a job in Salesforce space because that guy has 20 certification. But let me tell you my example, right? When I started out in Salesforce space, I didn't have even a single certification. I mean, I would say consider myself lucky because I was working as a C# developer, and then within our company, a new requirement for Salesforce come up, right? And the head of the department reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested to build an integration between our, the system which is built on C# and to the Salesforce to face the account and other kind of stuff, right?" And my first question was like, "What the heck is Salesforce?" Right? I heard about Salesforce, but I don't have any experience with the Salesforce. So he said, "Okay, there's something called Trailhead. Go through the Trailhead and try to understand if you can figure out. And we got a requirement coming up in 3 months' time, right? So I will give you 3 months to prepare." So that was a golden time for me, right? I got into Trailhead and I reached out to a few people to say, and I reached out to one of my mates who is in the United States. He been in Salesforce space for like 8 to 9 years. And I asked, "Hey, mate, do you know much about Salesforce?" He's like, "Yeah, why not?" He said, "You've reached the right place to ask the right question." So I said, "Look, this is what, I have in mind, and this is the requirement we'll be getting." And the head of department told me to learn Salesforce. So I got into Salesforce, and he told me, "Hey, Trailhead is a great place, and you can register for an org, kind of stuff, right?" So I did that, and ever since my journey got started, then eventually I took the admin certification, then developer one, and then decided, why can't I teach people at the same time, right, and help people to get into Salesforce? So that's why whole concept of YouTube, my new company, everything, came into existence. So if you're new to Salesforce, getting overwhelmed, say for instance, if you come to this page and you see, hey, this is too much for me. Like you have here, let's say administrator, which is the first certification, usually everyone takes. And you come here and say, "Oh, wow, I'm overwhelmed." And you go to the architect. Architect certifications, you will say, "Oh, it's even overwhelming." And then if you're a developer, you come here and say, "Holy moly, this is," and then Salesforce marketer, you got a ton here, you got a lot here, and consultant, oh wow, it's a lot here as well, and designer, okay, one. All right. Now you must be thinking, people do have 20 years, 20 plus certification. If you're someone who's starting out, say for instance, you are from a different background, you're from a, say, accounting background, right? Or even if you're a developer, you wanted to get into Salesforce space, or if you're someone who work, who's not a part of IT, right? You came from a teaching background, right? Just for the sake of argument. Now you wanted to get into Salesforce space, and you talk to a few people, and they say, "Okay, admin is the best way to start." So you start preparing for admin, and you decide to check out yourself what all certifications out there, and you got extremely overwhelmed, and you started to think, "Will I ever be able to break into the Salesforce space? It's too much going on." Well, let me break out to you, a pretty good news, right? You don't need to have a lot of certification. Like I said, you need to have few. and I will tell you those few which will really help you in your Salesforce career. The first thing, okay, I would highly encourage, irrespective if you're a developer, you're an architect, came from a different background, admin is the best certification to get you started, right? Administrator certification covers a lot of things. Okay, let's look in a nutshell what all things you will learn. Um, so you got a lot of, and the good thing about the Trailhead is, right, you can learn pretty much everything from Trailhead. And if you're interested to learn from somebody else, there are a lot of other people who teaches things in Salesforce space. Like for instance, in New Zealand, we have someone called Amber. She teaches a lot about the admin side of things. She's pretty amazing. So you should check it out, her channel, right, if you're interested to know. Same goes to Australia, India, and other space. I can't say much about other countries. I live in New Zealand, right? I teach Salesforce as well. I'll come to that stage where I teach. So, but if you are, into say administration, right? If you're starting out Salesforce, you should. I would highly encourage you to check it out. Her YouTube channel is amazing, right? And okay, so you got a lot of things here. You talk about users, how to create a company, identity. Admin is like uh, they give you an overview of everything which you should know. It's like how to create a company, how to create a user, uh, what is process builder, what is a flow, what's a workflow, uh, escalation rules, approval process, right? And how to use a developer console, so that kind of stuff, and what is profile, what are roles, right? To get you started, right? To have a brief overview of the platform. And I personally believe that the Salesforce admin is one of the best certification to get you started. I mean, it doesn't matter, like I say, you're a developer, architect coming from a different technology. Administrator, I would say, is a must to have certification. It's a beautiful certification. It's one of the best certification in Salesforce space, I would say, right? And it is a bit overwhelming. It's a lot of content to cover, but trust me, it's worth it, right? So I would highly rate Salesforce Administrator for the someone who's starting out, right? Um, Advanced Administrator, I would say to hold on if you want to be a Salesforce admin, right? Then perhaps you can go for advanced admin. It's a good certification, right? Um, but if you're a developer, right, I would encourage you to skip it. It's not really important. But if you wanted to be an admin, right, so advanced admin is great. Um, Platform app builder. This is pretty important in my opinion, if you're a developer or an admin or an architect, because platform admin app builder is a prerequisite for an architect certification. Okay, so platform app builder is pretty important in my opinion. So till now we are focused on two certification, right? Administrator and app builder. Fantastic, right? CPQ is a specialized certification if you wanted to get into, implementing codes with Salesforce, and you can do the CPQ. But uh, I would encourage the certification only if your company deals with CPQ, right? I will not encourage the certification just for the sake of it, right? If you're starting out, if your company is not dealing with CPQ, then flag it, because I've seen people get into CPQ saying, oh, I will get this much amount of money, that much amount of money. It doesn't work that way, right? You don't have experience on CPQ. Just doing a CPQ certification will not make you CPQ expert. You need to have hands-on on the platform to begin with. So I will park this aside. This certification is useful for someone who has some hands-on experience with CPQ and wanted to get certified, right? But someone who has zero experience in CPQ, I would say hold on, right, till you get some hands on, right? But that being said, if you're working for a firm and they say, hey, we will train you in CPQ, so get yourself certified, perfect, go for it, right? Okay, architect, I'll come back later because this is advanced level. Developer one. So all of the developers out there, this is your time, right? I know that you guys are waiting for it, but okay. Platform developer one. That's the certification I would highly encourage. It's a beautiful certification. It's not very complicated, right? I have created a course on Platform Developer One. If you're interested, you can check it out. I've created it free, right? You can, you know, and there are other people who have done a great job as well. So, I mean, the reason why I've created Platform Developer One, because when I was doing it, right, I like, let me help out other people who wanted to study for Platform Developer One. You can also check it out from my website, inspiratethesolution.com. I'll put the link in the description below. It's a free course. I think it's 20 plus hours something I've covered. So check it out, right? It's free. And the same goes for Platform Developer 2. Platform Developer 2 is the advanced version of Platform Developer 1. It's a great certification. I mean, but that being said, I'm not pretty much happy with this certification as well, because I was hoping, right? I was expecting Salesforce to include a few more things like design patterns. Like if you're advanced developer, I expect you guys to know about design patterns, because design pattern makes you write a better code, right? Maintainable code, right? And the code which will not break if you try to do some change. So Platform Developer 2, it's okay. It covers about advanced stuff around on the platform side, but it does not mention anything about um, you know how to write a builder pattern or factor pattern or facade pattern. Nah, if you wanted to check that out, I've created a free course on that as well, right? And Platform Developer too. You can check it out from my channel, right? Or from the YouTube if you want, or you can go to my Inspirate solution. This is free, right? Platform App Builder, we talked about it. Remember one thing: Platform Developer One, right? It's a prerequisite for the architect certification. If you wanted to do either of the architect certification, which I'll get into that in a minute. So it's important certification, right? So I would say Platform Developer One. So the three certification which we highlighted, extremely important: admin, app builder, platform developer one, three, right? Platform developer two, it's your choice. If you wanted to do it, you can do it. Um, Omni Studio, Omni Studio is making too much of noise. The velocity with sales was acquired. They're making a lot of noise. Um, I would say it's okay. I mean, if you are working on velocity, right? If you're working on Omni Studio, then go for it, right? But if you have someone who never worked on this platform and wanted to do for the sake of certification number, then I will say hold on, right? It's okay. It's a great certification, but um, if you know that you will not be working on Omni Studio, then it's pointless, right? Just for the sake of, I will not hire somebody just for the sake of certification. You don't have Omni Studio experience, your certification is pointless for me. It's that simple. I mean, I would hire someone without certification if they can navigate work with the Omni Studio. Yes, if you're going to work on a project, then doing the certification makes total sense. Marketing Cloud, it's an important certification if you are someone into Marketing Cloud, have a lot of experience. But if you are someone starting out, okay, you can hold on, you can do that if you want to. It's an important certification on the Marketing Cloud platform. If you're a Marketing Cloud expert, then yes, this is an important certification. JavaScript Developer One, pretty garbage. Absolutely garbage. It's like a rip-off certification, I would say. They just explain, if you're a React developer or an Angular script developer or Vue developer, this certification is a piece of a crap, right? It's just a way for Salesforce to make money. I mean, my apologies for I'm using that tone, but they didn't talk anything about design pattern. They talked about basic about LWC. They talked a little bit about JavaScript. Hmm, I would say ignore it. I mean, if you wanted to do it for the sake of it, go for it. But I will not recommend it. CPQ developer, like I said, if you're a CPQ agent, right? If you have experience in CPQ, or if you wanted to work on CPQ, and if your company is going to work on CPQ, then CPQ developer is good. This is a developer certification, right? If you're an admin, then CPQ specialist will be good. But if you're a developer, CPQ specialist and CPQ developer will be a great choice. You can do both. B2C commerce developer, it's not very popular yet. So I don't rate the certification very high at this stage. So I would say wait for some time, right? Just don't do for the sake of it, right? There are better certification than this at this stage. So I would say flag it. Salesforce marketer, right? Let's look at it. Marketing Cloud Administrator, it's a great certification if you're into Marketing Cloud, right? Or if you wanted to get into Marketing Cloud. But if you're someone who's starting out, um, hold on, right? Just wait till you get a project on Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud Consultant, it's pretty much the same. My apologies if you're hearing the bike sound. Um, so these are specific for the Marketing Cloud people, right? I've seen these two certification, administrator and consultant. It's like, how do I put it? If you're a Marketing Cloud consultant, right? I think having a Marketing Cloud administrator is good enough. Consultant is just a fancy name they've added to your certification, added few concepts from Marketing Cloud administrator, and fixed a few consulting stuff to it. That's how I look at it. If you have lots of consulting experience, then this certification is pointless. I mean, if you wanted to spend money, it's up to you, but I don't rate this certification at all, Marketing Cloud Consultant. It's just way below in my list. Same like JavaScript. JavaScript is the lowest till now. Marketing Cloud, you can say one step above, right? Cloud developer, like I said, if you wanted to work on a platform, this is a good certification. Um, Pardot, okay, I mean, consultant, specialist, I don't know much about Pardot, so I can't really say. If, like I said, if you're an expert in the Pardot space, then yeah, go for it. And Marketing Cloud email specialist, I think it's a prerequisite for one of the architect certification, if I'm not mistaken. It's okay. I mean, it's a good certification to have. So, all right. So this is great. Consultant ones. Consultant one is kind of interesting, right? Because let's start with Service Cloud Consultant. This is something I'm teaching at this stage. It's free. You can check it out on my channel. I'm in the middle of teaching this at this stage. It's a great certification to have. But if you are an experienced Service Cloud consultant already, do you think that you need the certification? I don't think so. You don't really need it. It's good for someone who do not have much experience on the Service Cloud, wanted to get into Service Cloud. It's a great certification to get into Service Cloud consultancy, okay? And not as an administrator. So pay attention to what I said. If you wanted to get into consultancy space, helping customer on the Service Cloud, this is a good certification to have. But if you're someone who has a lot of experience, then I would say flag it. It's not required. You see the problem I see in the Salesforce space, right? People want to. It has unfortunately become a Salesforce number game, and I've seen people who have got 20 Salesforce certification and like 3 years experience, and they couldn't even answer a basic thing. And this is what really makes me wonder what's the point of it, right? So certification is handy if you have experience on the platform. Like for instance, I came from a C sharp background. We have a lot of .NET certification. I haven't got even a single .NET certification, but I've been programming for years. So does that mean the person who got uh, sales C sharp certificate is better than someone who has 10 years of C sharp experience? No, really. But someone who has 10 years experience and certification, that's pretty amazing. But mostly experienced developers, they normally don't go for certification. It costs $200, right? I forgot how much it costs on Microsoft Space. I think it's 200 USD. I mean, I've done AWS certification, and which is pretty cool. The only reason why I did it because we had a project in one of the company where I worked, we were doing where they were doing with AWS. So I said to my boss, I wanted to get into AWS as well. So I'll go and get myself certified as an AWS associate architect one. It's a pretty good certification. I learned a lot of things, right? So that context, I would say, was pretty great because I knew that I'll be going to work on that platform. So that's why. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother. So if you knew that you're going to work, if you are someone, say for instance, if you join Big Four, okay, let's talk about Big Four, right? You join Big Four, one of the amazing consultancy spaces companies in the world, right? And they said, okay, we want you to have certification, Service Cloud, Sales Cloud. Go for it because they're paying for it. They're giving you time to study for it. Go for it. But if you're a very experienced person, right, just flag it. The same goes with the Sales Cloud. Omni Studio Consultant. It just blah. It's okay. I mean, if you wanted to, I mean, if you have Omni Studio Developer one, then this is just pointless. But if you are someone who never worked with Omni Studio, uh, then yeah, you can pretty much start, right? You see, you must be thinking I'm very biased. I'm not very biased. I'm giving you a very honest opinion. I live in New Zealand. I've seen people, you know, taking certification. I've seen people who have 10 years Salesforce experience with just one certification, right? I would rate that person extremely higher than compared to someone who have 2 years experience who got 20 certification. So the difference is the real life experience. You cannot get that using certification. No matter who would try to convince you. Into Salesforce certification, right? I teach people certification, as you've already seen. If you've been following me for past 2 years, you notice, right? I encourage people to get into Salesforce using certification. Certifications are amazing. I'm saying it's amazing, but there are a lot of certification which are just garbage, right? So Omni Studio Consultant, it's okay if you wanted to take it. If you're working on an Omni Studio project, depending upon the role, right? If you're a developer, then I wouldn't ask you to skip it. Go for Omni Studio Developer. That's much better, in my opinion. It will cover the nitty gritty stuff of it, right? Um, or if you don't have certification, that's also fine. I mean, if you can figure out field service, it's okay. Mm, I mean, non-profit is good. Non-profit is really good. Now, I would not uh, encourage you to take non-profit if you're not going to work for a non-profit. But it's a very amazing certification. You don't have a non-profit experience, you're not going to work a non-profit, just don't do it. Because what's the point of taking? It's like you learn French and Japanese and Chinese and Spanish, but you're not going to use it. What's the point? You will forget it eventually, right? And when you get to work on a real project after 2 years, you still have to go and read all the stuff, right? So might as well do it when you are actually working on a project, right? That makes more sense. That's why I'm always telling you guys, you work on a project, then learn for it and go for it, right? Don't just do it because the market is hot, right? This is the mistake I've seen. That's why we got, I don't know how to explain it. The quality of Salesforce people in worldwide I've seen compared to SAP, AWS, it's below standard. I'm sorry it offends people, but there are people who are extremely skilled in Salesforce. I worked with few, right, in my previous job. My boss, right, my boss from a previous government agency, is extremely talented, right? I mean, he's one of the best Salesforce architects I work, and my mate, he's one of the best Salesforce architects as well. And other people I work, and at the same time, I also worked with a few people from the agency, horribly bad. So, and they have more certifications. So, what's the point, right? So, that's what I'm saying, right? Take certification. Go and take the certificate. It's fine, but only when you get the chance to work on a real project. So, nonprofit is a beautiful certification, right? But just don't take it for the sake of it, right? If you're not going to work in nonprofit, don't waste your time. Experience Cloud, Education Cloud falls into the same category. You're going to work on it. You're going to work on a project, go and get it. If you're not going to work on it, forget it. CRM is the same. I if you're going to work on Einstein, if you're going to work on data analytics, go for it. If you're not going to work on it, just hold on. Just wait till you get a project. So, Salesforce Designer. I have a mixed opinion on this one. Let me show you why. Um, you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose of doing this certification? You know, what are you going to achieve it? Let's look at the content they cover. Then we talk about it, right? Discovery, user adoption metrics, user story creation, user customer discovery, innovation and prototyping. Um, if you're a developer, right, you already know most of the stuff, right? Customer discovery. Or if you're a consultant, you would know most of the stuff anyways. Yeah, you can learn this one, UX persona for Salesforce, Sales Cloud persona. These ones are good, right? But you don't need to get certified for it. I mean, if someone asks you that you need to have a this um, which one is that? The UX certification, then I would pretty much challenge that person thinking, right? So because I would not be happy if that person is encouraging people to get into the certification just for the sake of it. So yeah, so I think I lost Salesforce certification. Let's go back. It's okay. I mean, I'm not discouraging, right? Now we have more Slack, Moonsoft. Moonsoft is really good. Okay, Moonsoft is really good. I mean, I've seen a lot of integration happening with the Moonsoft. I would highly encourage you to go for Moonsoft. Right, Moonsoft is amazing. Okay, and now Moonsoft has developer one, architect one. Check it out. Right, Moonsoft is. Uh, so now, before I get into architect, right? So you're a new person to Salesforce. You might have heard me talking until now, and you would have got confused, saying, "Right, this guy talked about this." So, as someone who's starting out, what should I learn, right? Like I said, admin, right? Depending upon your goal, right? You want it to be developer. So if you want it to developer, go for my recommendation, right? Go for admin first, app builder, and platform dev one. Three mandatory certifications, right? Will teach you a lot of things. Um, and also you can do super badges, right? They're useful as well to give the scenario. You wanted to get into consulting, admin, right? Then go for sales cloud, um, service cloud, or app builder, right? That's enough. Consultant developer, then if you are new to sales, I'm talking about people who are new to sales, right? I'm not talking about experienced people. So admin, platform developer one, sales cloud, service cloud, and app builder. These certifications are good enough. If you wanted to be an admin, Salesforce admin, advanced admin, uh, pretty good certification to get started. Um, Now I do understand that you might say a company will not hire us. That's something I can't help, guys, because if you think that you need to work on your interview skills, perhaps you know what I can suggest. Uh, be a part of a user group. Network with people. LinkedIn is a great place, and try to talk about a topic, and perhaps volunteer at nonprofit. Right, if you get a chance to do that. Um, and there are some of the companies who are willing to give you uh, help you work on the platform, but they can't afford to pay you. So if you can do that for free, maybe for a couple of months, that's a good place to get you started, right? So, like I said, user groups are a better place for you to know people, have that networking going, and to make a contact with people who are already in Salesforce space, right? Now comes to the final thing, architecture, right? This is an advanced certification. And now I teach people architecture and I sell the course. So if you're interested to buy course, you can always buy from a platform. The reason why I started building the course because when I wanted to prepare for it, I couldn't find it. So I built it, right? I built my own course and to help people, right? So that other people don't struggle like I struggle. And I have real life experience working as a Salesforce architect. So I'm trying to bring the real stuff, what I've learned, into the real Salesforce experience, into learning space, sorry. Okay, so there are two kinds of certification, which is like if you're looking at the pyramid, right? Technical architect, which is the top of it. It's like a CTA board, which is a little bit difficult. So to do that, you need to have a system architect, an application architect, um, integration architect. If you are into integration, this is a very good certification, I would say. Identity access, it's fantastic certification. Development lifecycle, it's okay, right? You will get to know about the branching strategy, Git, DevOps, and all kind of stuff, right? Which is very important in today's time. Sharing and visibility is very important. Data architect, I will rank the low, right? But you still have to do it because you have to, achieve it. But it's okay. I mean, it's just the lowest. I will rate the data architect as the lowest one. It's blah, but I don't know why Salesforce included it, but that's what it is, right? And then you have another one, Heroku one, which I would say it's okay if you're interested. Um, if you're working with Heroku, right, then this certification is useful. But if you're not, then you can just skip it, right? The same goes with other certification as well. You need to ask yourself why you wanted to get this certification. What's the purpose behind it, right? The why question is very important. Just because your neighbor is doing it, it's not a good enough reason for you to go and do the certification. Yeah, it's good to have certification. It looks good on your CV, right? Unfortunately, companies, the people who recruit, right, they look at the certification because they themselves are driven by certification, which is, in my opinion, a very bad attitude towards the Salesforce space. That's why we have a lot of mess in the org, right? If you look at some of the orgs where the people build on top of it, they put all kind of tech depths, and they feel proud too at the same time, which is a bit bizarre, but that's what it is. B2B solution architect, it's okay if you wanted to go for it. If you're really interested to work in the space, go for it. So let's look at the prerequisite for it. To have a prerequisite, you need to have application architect. So this certification is usually good for a functional consultant. If you're someone into a functional space, uh, it's a good cert. One of the thing I've noticed in Salesforce space, a person who has a functional background, they start to call themselves as a technical architect, which makes no sense to me, right? Because first of all, functional consultants, right? They're not programmers. Some can code, which is great, but some can't. And they call themselves as tech lead, make no sense to me. Usually because in conventional software development, the tech lead is someone who has like 10 to 15 years development experience, programming experience, architecture experience, right? Um, but if you are a functional, then you call yourself a solution architect, not a technical architect. So there's a difference between that, right? So that's why I said the B2B solution architect, it's a good certification for a functional consultant, right? It's not a technical certification, it's a functional certification. So that's the difference. So if you're an admin, so you can aspire to be a B2B solution architect, and for that, you can also become an application. But the caveat to that, for an application architect, you still need to get wait a second you still need to get a platform developer one certification. If you hate programming, um, then unfortunately you still have to learn it. That's what one of the things, right? Salesforce force you to learn it, so yeah. And then you have B2C commerce architect if you're into that, and solution architect. So this is all I wanted to talk about, right? I hope you find this session useful. Like I said, I made this for people who are starting out in Salesforce space. Even if you're experienced, I hope you might find it useful, right? I'm telling you from my personal experience, I'm a pro cert guy, right? I have planned to make a video course for pretty much most of the certification, right? JavaScript one, I won't make it. Einstein, I try to make it because I try to teach people a little bit of machine learning before I try to explain them about Einstein. And so if you look at the things what I've done, right, most of the stuff, if you follow my YouTube channel, I give for free, right? I've done platform dev one. I've covered about design patterns, app builder. I've done free. Now I'm doing service cloud consultant certification free. Um, so at the same time, I also charge people money on the architect certification if they buy from my platform, because architect certification is, it needs a lot of time, right? And if you go and take, say, classroom session, right, you will end up in paying like $5,000 in New Zealand for 2 days, and I charge just $35 for online training. They pretty much teach the same thing, anyways. So, but that being said, right, I'm gonna do something this year. I remember, or if you follow me on LinkedIn, right, you would have seen that last year I spoke about mentoring somebody from New Zealand. So that's something I'm going to start from. I'm going to start from next month. I'm going to send out an expression of interest. So what that program will look like, I'll mentor only one person for now. To if someone who's new to Salesforce space, to teach them admin stuff, bit of app builder, programming stuff, a little bit of architecture. I'll teach them how to write a flow from a developer point of view, not from a functional consultant, right? Because flow is a development tool, right? You need to understand how to use a separation of concern in the flow. So that kind of stuff I'll teach. And then I have contact with a few recruiters in New Zealand, so I'll reach out to them and say, hey, can we find this person a job? This person is, and perhaps we can release some certification, right, from my company, because I run a company, Inspirate Solutions. So that's one of my commitment towards the Salesforce space to help, Kiwis, especially in New Zealand, to get into Salesforce space. That's I'm not looking at Australian market because Australia they got amazing people who does this. I'm just focusing only on New Zealand market. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, my apologies. I ranted for like perhaps 20 minutes, but I just wanted to put it out anyways, right? So thank you for listening. Have a good day.